power of the Word. So that fits very good with what Chris has emphasized tonight. And I appreciate him saying what he did about the bulletin. I hope you read it. Tonight, I want us to think about in the life of David, who did he have to deal with? Before David could become king of the Israelites, who had to step down? Tonight, I want us to look at Saul. King Saul, the first king. You know, it's not fun to look at the failure of people. As we think of why Saul fell from grace, fell that the throne was taken away from him, it's not a encouraging thing. And yet, Romans 15 verse 4 tells us by those things that happened before were for our learning. So there's 5 things that caused Saul to fall. You know, in the beginning, look at 1 Samuel. We're going to be in 1 Samuel most of the evening. 1 Samuel 9 verse 2. These glasses are not my preferred ones I wear. I left mine at home, and I had these in the drawer over there, so I might have a struggle a little bit. Here's talking about the father of Saul. Verse 2. And he had a son whose name was Saul, a choice young man, and a goodly. And there was not among the children of Israel a goodlier person than he. From his shoulders and upward, he was higher than any of the people. So here's some statements about Saul, and I think why God picked him. God looked over the masses of the Israelites, and here's one big old head. He's head taller than them, and said, God said, there he is, there's the one I want. Not quite like that, but maybe your version doesn't say goodly. When you think of that description, what do you think of?
Handsome.
Huh?
Handsome.
Handsome? Well-mannered? Popular? You know? From the very beginning, God liked this man. He believed he was the right choice. And yet, go to chapter 15, verse 28. 15:28. Samuel, prophet, judge, speaking to Saul, they said unto him, the Lord has rent the kingdom of Israel from you this day, has given it to a neighbor of yours that is better than you. So, one that was chosen, now God has taken it from him. That word rent, it kind of makes me think he pulled it from him.
It says
Torn out of his hands, torn out of his grasp. Well, even at that moment, we don't see it out of his. He's not off the throne yet.
So was God looking at Saul's outward appearance when he chose him to?
But of course he wasn't.
Kind of like he used him to teach Israel a lesson in the future. To
In the story of David, he was young and experienced, and
it's like
the thought comes that God doesn't look on the outward, but the inward man. But in regards to Saul, maybe so. Probably a lot of it. Go back to 13, verse 14. What did God want in a man, in a king? 13, 14.
After his own heart.
A man after his own heart. What's the idea of Charlie Morris at 4:00, he started sitting behind me. And I didn't realize, and I stood here, and then all of a sudden I looked, there he was, and he says, I got your back. Well, what is someone that says, I've got your heart? That's what, yeah. But if you and I, as human beings, say that expression too, you know, a young guy that's dating a woman, what's he say? I want to win your heart. I want your heart. If God says that, he wants somebody like him. A man after my own heart. You think David's going to be that man? Well, I think Saul started that way, but then things happened.
Yes, I believe so too. Otherwise, he wouldn't have chosen.
That's right. Exactly. Would have been torn from him. So let's learn from his mistakes. Number one, Saul started out good. He was humble, and then he was haughty. What's the difference between humble and haughty?
Big difference.
Pardon?
Big difference.
It's drastically different, isn't it? Someone that's humble is someone who's lowly in heart. In fact, when Saul hears that he's going to be selected as king, he reminds him, I'm from Benjamin, the smallest tribe, and my family, we're nothing. He says, who are you, or why are you picking me? That's pretty humble. And something that's happened in Africa. Tom Musasili, Tom, is our new director. But we haven't officially announced it. But the word's kind of gotten out, and Tom says, people are asking me, are you the new director for Renzori School of Preaching? And he says, I don't want to say anything. I don't want to look like I'm bragging or lifting myself up. I really appreciated that attitude. And so I told Gage on coming home, I said, Gage, we need to have an official announcement that Mbusa has stepped down and we have a replacement so that we don't put Tom in a situation. I guarantee you things have to be done right over there or it blows up in your face. And so he's getting something written up to do that. But I like that humility. Y'all promote me. Don't make me have to do it. And when all Israel is gathered, look at chapter 10. Chapter 10, verse 21. 9. And when he had caused the tribe of Benjamin to come near by their families, the family of Matri was taken, and Saul, the son of Kish, was taken. And when they sought him, he could not be found. Remember when Achan took the treasures and put them in under his tent, and was supposed to take that because it was for the treasury of the Lord.
Yeah, that was in Joshua.
Remember how they found out it was Achan? They paraded all the tribes before Moses, and then all the families. And when it come to Achan's family, they knew. And Achan and his family died. Well, this instance, it's a good thing. They're looking for to be a king selected. But where's Saul? Notice what it says. Verse 22. Therefore they inquired of the Lord further, if the man should yet come there. And the Lord answered, behold, he has hid himself among what?
The
The
stuff.
stuff. What stuff?
Baggage.
I have a lot of stuff in the garage that I don't need. We're going to have a garage sale. We're going to throw stuff away. What's he hiding? It just, whatever can keep people from putting their eyeballs on him. He didn't want that publicity. He didn't want to stand before the people. Is he scared of leading? What's he afraid of? Or is he afraid? Or is he just humble? He just doesn't understand why it's got to be him. And I wrote down, he's humbly hesitant for the appointment. Look at 15:17. I told you we're going everywhere. And Samuel said, when you was little in thy own sight. He's talking about the beginning. But now something's happened. But I wanted that phrase mainly. So in the very beginning, he was little in his own sight. But you know what? That would change. That would change. Look at 1 Samuel 13. Here in 8 through 14. The Philistines have come to battle against the Israelites, and they come in array or amass themselves against the Israelites. Here's a wave of Philistines against Israel. What did Saul do? Well, Samuel's not there. Samuel, for some reason, is delayed and he's not present. And I imagine the Israelites want to offer sacrifice before they go to war. They want to appeal to their God to go with them in battle. And who's the only one that can offer sacrifice?
Priest.
The priests, the Levites. And they can't wait. What does Saul do? He jumps in there. Let me do it. I'll offer a sacrifice. You think Saul knows better? He's a Benjamite. He shouldn't be meddling in someone else's job. And he offers the sacrifice. Here's this wrong spirit that has taken him. Well, when the Spirit of the Lord leaves Saul, what does it say replaces that. An evil spirit. Here's that haughty, this I'm great, I'm mighty. Uh, even in the example of the Amalekites, when God sends them to destroy, Saul is to destroy them all. Kill them all the animals, all the people. But what does he do? Oh, you know what would be good? I'll keep the king. I'll keep these cattle. I'll make sacrifices out of them. I'll make a big show of what I've done, and we'll worship God. He's already broke his commandment. Proverbs 16:18 says, a haughty spirit goes before a fall. What does it mean, goes before?
You start thinking in a haughty fashion before that happens.
Right.
You are better than others.
Yep. There's a beginning of that wrong spirit. There's a beginning of that wrong attitude. A haughty spirit, before you fall, you lose your way with wrong thinking.
That's what leads to.
Pardon?
The Holy Spirit
Leads to the fall. That's exactly right.
Is that the same thing as saying pride goes before the fall?
That's the same scripture, yeah. Proverbs 16:18. Look at 1 Peter 5:5. Now, what we're trying to do now is learn from him and find some scriptures in the New Testament to emphasize the importance of humility. 1 Peter 5:5 says, likewise, ye younger, submit yourselves unto the elder. Yea, all of you, be subject one to another, and be clothed with humility. Gird yourselves with humility to serve one another. One version says, for God resists the proud and gives grace to the humble. Resist the proud. Sounds like any plans for a proud person is doomed to failure. You're not going to succeed.
Don't we do the same thing? I bet we've all known people that are constantly bragging on themselves. And that person you don't want to say anything good about, because they're going to continue on and brag even more. So God's telling us the same thing.
I got a promotion.
Yeah.
I got a raise.
Right.
I'm the best, whatever I'm doing. We don't like to be around a person like that. I think there's a psalm that goes something like this. Don't toot your own horn. Let somebody else bring it up.
You're awesome, Gregg.
And I'm not either.
Yeah, Gregg.
Think about Jesus showing the example of bowing before his disciples and washing their feet in John 13. And one of the disciples says, you're not washing my feet, I'm going to wash yours. What did Jesus say?
Not only your feet, but your
body and face, everything.
Okay?
What else did he say?
Peter.
But he says, if you don't permit me to do this, you're not worthy to be my disciple. Yeah, you're going to let me wash your feet.
Like he said, wash me everything.
Of course, he wasn't trying to do that. He was trying to give an example of what disciples in his kingdom would do. Serve one another. We don't know anything about washing feet. They wear sandals over there in Africa, and their feet get pretty dirty. When I was in the islands, Where did I go, Karen? Pompeii. It's like Guam and some of those islands. They all wore sandals. When you're hospitable and bring somebody into your home, you tend to them. Here, let me take your sandals off. Here, I've got a container of water, a towel. Let me wash your feet. How do you think that makes that person feel? Especially if it's warm water and they're taking the dust off, and clean feet makes you feel good all over. You might be dirty other places, but at least your feet are clean. You know, I'm thankful that Jesus showed us that and gave us that example. So let's don't imitate Saul in being haughty. Let's Philippians 2. Not consider ourselves above anybody. Verse 3, 2, 3. Let nothing be done through strife or vain glory. When I seek praise, that's vain glory. When it's said voluntarily from somebody else, but in lowliness of mind, let each esteem other better than himself. Sometimes King James just doesn't sound right. Let each esteem the other better than himself or themselves. Look not every man on his own things, but every man also on the things of others. Let this mind be in you, which was also in the mind of Christ. Secondly, Saul went from fearless to fearful. Do we have an example of him being a mighty soldier, a great leader? Yeah, let's look at it. 1 Samuel 11. Here in chapter 11, the Ammonites are attacking. And they've come to Jabesh Gilead. Now, I don't know where that is. Out there in the desert somewhere, but they've come and they've told the inhabitants, the Jews there, come out and meet us, and we're going to put you in subjection. We're going to make slaves out of you. And what we're going to do, we're going to strike your right eye out. And it'll be a symbol. And they were afraid. And they asked, can you just wait a week? Wait a while so we can send word, and maybe some of our people will come to our salvation. And sure enough, look at verse 5 and 6. I think 5 and 6. Let's start with verse 4. Then came the messengers to Gibeah of Saul, and told the tidings in the ears of the people, and the people lifted up their voice and wept. And behold, Saul came after the herd out of the field, and Saul said, what ails the people that they weep? And they told him the tidings of the men of Jabesh. The Spirit of God came upon Saul when he heard these things, and his anger was kindled greatly. Well, who else has the ability to do something? Here's the king. And he sends a message. What's the message? He takes the oxen and he cuts them up into pieces. And he sends a piece over here to this town and over this tribe. And he sends it all out. And he says, if you don't come, this is what's going to happen to your oxen. But they all have a same voice and they come. The last part of verse 7. And the fear of the Lord fell on the people, and they came out with one consent. And the number was 300,000 from Israel and 30,000 from Judah. Why does Israel have more soldiers than Judah?
Israel has more tribes than
The northern kingdom has 10. Southern kingdom has 2.
but the kingdom wasn't split at that time.
Well, I have to think about that.
Well,
That's true
I
because
think
it's
there was more
before
That's before Solomon.
Jeroboam reborn.
Solomon, yeah.
When this was written, it was probably when the tribes were already split. So I guess.
I had to think about that. Well, anyway.
Well, he still separated the men of Judah out.
Oh.
Either way, you know.
Yeah.
This passage.
And they said unto the messengers that came, Thou shalt, you say unto the men of Jabesh Gilead, tomorrow by that time the sun be hot, you shall have help. And the messengers came and showed it to the men of Jabesh, and they were glad. And he divided them up and sent them in 3 different groups to fight. And they won. Here's his leadership, his ability as a captain of the soldiers to delegate. So I call him fearless. And his anger was vented against the enemy. But what happened in 1 Samuel 17? Says there in 17 that here's this man that didn't gird his sword when one man stood before him and defied Almighty God. Who's that? Goliath, a giant. Remember when David came and he said, Saul, Saul and Saul's brother, they were listening to this heathen, and he was ashamed of it. He was embarrassed of it. Here is a fearful man. God doesn't want his servants to be fearful or have the spirit of fear. He wants us to have the spirit of power. 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7. Go back to Matthew chapter 25, verses 25 to 26. Remember chapter 25? Who we reading about? The men who were given talents. One man was given 10, one was given 5, and then given 3, and then one was given,
2 and 1.
and the man was given 1.
No, it was 10 5.
It was 5, 3, and 1, wasn't it?
I thought
10,
it was
10 5
2.
and 1, wasn't it?
No.
The talents?
Well, maybe it was 10.
5, 2, and 1.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, because they were doubled. The one that had 5 received 10,
Right.
and the one that
Oh, yeah.
okay.
But the other one was 2, not 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
It kept saying 3.
All right.
It doesn't.
15, it says 5, 2.
All right. So the one that had 2 received 4.
Right.
But what happened to the man that had 1? What did he do with his 1?
He's afraid to lose it.
He got, he was somewhere else.
He
and
dug
hid
it, dug a hole and put it in the ground. How many people, a long time ago, where did people put their money? Not the banks.
Mattress.
The mattress or out on their property in a hole, tin can in a hole. You ever wanted to go to one of those old home sites and start digging? You would probably just find Confederate money wouldn't be worth nothing. So don't go to the trouble.
There's a show on TV on history, like they're searching for gold or digging. What is it? The Curse of Oak Island or something?
Yeah.
They're digging all over the place. They find a piece of metal here or something.
That's a show that I got tired of watching. I thought
Yeah.
they're going to drag this out for eternity.
Yeah.
Well, he said, I was afraid. And the master wanted him to explain why he had 1. I was afraid. What are we afraid of in our society?
I think just putting yourself out there and the way people treat you from it and just knowing, just kind of think they're not going to be interested. It is a hard thing right now.
Why are we so concerned about how people respond?
I don't know.
We want to win. We want to be successful. We want to lead
You wanna be
souls to
accepted.
Christ.
Well, yeah, you want to be accepted by other
And
people.
They, if they are converted, then they like you or they trust you. Our time's over, isn't it?
Yep.
Almost. Revelation 21:8 says, "But the fearful," and it keeps listing. But it begins with the fearful. And where are they going to go? The second death. In Joshua chapter 1, verse 7, I think you referred to it, where God told Joshua,
Joshua
be
1, verse
strong
9.
and courageous.
Verse 9.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
was
one
just
of that
before
we
that.
learned.
Yeah.
Yes. And in Hebrews 13:6, the Lord is my helper, and I will not fear what man shall do unto me. Number 3, Saul went from being merry to miserable. When you do things right, you feel good, joyful. I'm a Christian. If I died right now, I'd go to heaven. But when sin captures you, it takes away your peace. It takes away your confidence. It takes away your joy. I'm afraid we've got some in our congregation that have fallen away and they've become worldly, and they might fake it, but they're not having fun. They're miserable. I tried to call one of them today, and I won't tell you who it was, but I can just imagine them seeing my name and they didn't want to answer because they don't want to be brought accountable for their life. When you're living wrong, you don't want to be told you're wrong. Come back. They want to be left alone. If they're left alone, they can slough it off, make excuses. The Spirit of the Lord departed, an evil spirit descended upon him. Chapter 16, verse 14. He lost his joy. No wonder he was jealous of David. No wonder he tried to kill David. What David's presence brought to Saul's mind? I'm gone. I'm a goner. David's going to replace me. He didn't want to think about that. He was miserable. Saul went from being under control to being out of control. Chapter 10, verse 27. And there once again, the women saying of David and Saul, David's killed his tens of thousands. Saul,
1,000.
puny hundreds, And that made him jealous. That made him mad. He was even greater in his determination to end David. Well, our time is ended. I'll at least tell you what the other point was. Get back to my notes. So he went from humble to haughty. He went from fearless to fearful. He went from merry merry to miserable. He went from control to out of control. And lastly, he went from banishing error to befriending him. When you go wrong, you don't see anybody else that's wrong. You condone. You make excuses. All right. You're dismissed. Thanks for comments today.